there any player in the history of the NBA that is more polarizing than James Harden? Can we identify anyone else that pushes the boundaries of the rules as far as him? Why is it that no matter how many times I explain why it's legal, most people don't want to believe me? Just listen to how the Rockets announcers describe his footwork on this Eurostep.
Harden splits it, drives it, Eurosteps, and on the other side. Now you see him, now you don't. James Harden is a wizard.
And now, let's check out how the Jazz announcers interpreted his little dance.
A 27-point third, a couple of Euro steps
that
inside.
Like a walk.
I would agree. We'll count them.
That looked like two Euro steps.
91-80 for James Harden.
One, two, three.
Of course, they're paid to be for the Jazz, but when they showed another angle, look how even they get confused trying to count the steps.
Let's count them one more time on the drive. 1, 2, and 3. And he
put that final one down.
He had some fun with it as well.
At every level of basketball, 3 steps is a travel. We know that. Now, James Harden is tricky because every time he drives to the basket, it looks like he's kind of in slow motion.
Did you hear that? They accurately counted out the 2 steps.
The drive, 1, 2, and 3.
Then added the third so it fit with what they said earlier. But all this culminated in a play during the scrimmage between the Rockets and Raptors the other day. And this one blew up the internet. So if you're so inclined, have a seat before watching this. But what makes this so tricky for people? Clearly, it's the shot fake he executes in the middle of his steps to the hoop. We're much more accustomed to seeing a pass fake during this move, and no one screams travel when they see that. But Harden has made it clear he's in the business of stretching the limits of traditional moves. First off, let's get the feet work out of the way. As we've explained in the past, the rules state you don't start counting steps until after the dribble has ended. Well, that doesn't happen till this moment right here. His right foot is down, he is now allowed to take 2 steps. The first step becomes his pivot foot, and the rules also state that he is allowed to lift that pivot so long as he releases the ball into a shot or pass before that foot comes back down again. But let's look at how he takes these steps, because this is another reason people go crazy. The rules do not dictate how quick or slow you must take these 2 steps. What throws off the defense is a shorter first step, then a longer second step to launch into the jump. And the pièce de résistance is that shot fake in the middle of all of this. There is nothing in the rules that prohibit any type of fake, be it a pass or shot fake. And this manipulation is fine. In fact, it's awesome, as it gets OG Anunoby off his feet and out of the way. There's no question Harden has figured out how to get a lot of things out of the way. And while he won't ever use clippers on his beard, since it's the source of all his power, there's no telling how well he grooms everywhere else. And that's where Manscaped comes in with their all-new Lawnmower 3.0. There's no doubt in my mind that James Harden's creativity springs from good grooming, making all those long-stepped Euros that much easier. Just click on the link below to order Manscaped now. I'm telling you, it's a lot of fun to use, it's waterproof, has a built-in light to help you see, and it won't nick your balls. Use my code BBALL20 to get a whopping 20% off your order plus free shipping. I'm a subscriber and you should be too, so you can get a free travel bag plus their patented high-performance anti-chafing Manscaped boxer briefs. You want to talk about helping your jump shot? Throw a pair of these on and start swishing. If all of Harden's drives to the basket get you upset, it's probably because you need to groom better with Manscaped. It's gotten so concerning, I had to bring in friend of the breakdown Ronnie Nunn, an NBA referee for 19 years, head of NBA officials for 5, and director of development for 3 more. So Ronnie, thank you for joining us. We've got a lot of people here who are really upset, and I guess our efforts to tamp down the Harden insanity hasn't maybe gotten through all the way, because we're still here talking about, Euro steps.
The Eurostep is I would believe and want to hope that it's being understood better and better. But there is there's an arrhythmic style in which Harden does it sometimes that brings the eyebrows raised and wonder if it's legal. And with a couple of clips we'll talk about, we will probably funnel to understand it to be legal. And it's just unique in the manner in which he takes advantage of the move.
Well, we have a
Legally.
scrimmage. We have a scrimmage here against the Raptors, and he goes to the basket. Now, a lot of times with the Euro, you'll see a pass fake, and everyone usually oohs and ahs and loves those. He does a shot fake here. So can you walk us through the cadence and the steps just to see why it should be, I guess we're both going to be on the agreement that we consider it's legal.
I think it's a good point that you make, that the step sometimes gets that piece where there's a fake, and then all of a sudden everybody understands that stop, and then they follow the rest of the movement and say, hey, that was really a great play.
So let's break it down. Just to clarify, it's the right foot that I believe is down when he gathers the ball, and not the left foot, the right foot. And from there, as we've said all along in the NBA and in FIBA, right, the rule's explicit that is the 0 step, and you get 2 steps after that as long as that second step is a launch into the air, right? Is that correct?
And that is correct. And, as I look at the film, actually now I can see, obviously, the right foot is down. So that's the 0 step. That's the 0 gather. That's the 0 catch. So with that step down, he's already got a left and a right to come to make his shot or pass. So, and he kind of makes long, slowed strides. He does, here's where the dragging of a foot could occur sometimes that we've talked about before. He just slows his cadence to the hoop that makes everybody believe something went wrong.
Now, just to add a little fuel to the fire, we, as we said before numerous times, there's nothing in the rule that prohibits you in the middle of your 1-2 going up to drag that back foot. You can drag that along the ground if you feel that's legal.
Yeah, you can do it, and I've seen it done for many, many years. I've seen officials recognize it as being a sort of manner of style in which to get your 2 steps in. I mean, it had nothing to do with a new pivot or a third or fourth step on the drag. But that reminds me of that. Although in this case, James does not drag his foot.
And we know that dragging the foot is illegal only when you are pivoting in place, and then you drag the foot from there before you release the ball.
Yeah, absolutely, and well said.
Thank you. Well, let's move on to another clip, because this one in February got people up in arms too across the board with another bit of a Euro step here. And I figured we could walk through this one too, just because there's some similar stuff going on here and why this one is legal as well.
The best thing for fans, especially for officials, is to understand and to see the connection of the movement, the rhythm of the movement, and then the actual gather of the ball and which foot is down. And in this case, the left foot is down, followed by a right and left. Legal again. You got to see rhythm, and then you got to see the count of the gather of the ball.
I think what we see here, it's all about the gather, and I think what confuses people is that they simply start counting after the ball bounces the last time. And if that were the case, and the referee had to try and adjudicate that based on when the ball bounced, I think that would be a nightmare and an impossibility.
A total impossibility. And then all of a sudden, I think the Euro steps and this extended a broken cadence to the hoop going left or right, which is the Euro step, when step backs, they started recognizing that there was 3 situations occurring, and the 0 was the launch. So the 0 was the start of something that launched this thing, and now we have 2 steps any which way you want to make them. And I think it's getting better and better. I think people are understanding. But Harden is clever on the manner in which he propels himself forward or to the back or to the side, and people think he's taking advantage of the steps, and he isn't. And that's why we have a show with you to share these things, because it really comes down to being a clean strike over the plate. Sure. And you got to know the rhythm and also the count process.
And here's the other thing is, we see plenty of gather steps being called legal in high school and college. And I have to imagine it's only a matter of time before they actually adjust the rules just to sort of make it clear that is legal. Because I get it. Most high school coaches would say they're going to call it even if it's not a travel anyway, or it is up and down. We don't know what they're going to do on any given night. But I can show you clips from the 30s of the gather step. So we've had this notion since the beginning of the game. And I think it's just a matter of time before the high school and colleges clean up their rules and make it uniform.
Yeah, and what's good for an offensive player? You can begin to lure fouls, making people think there's another step coming by the offensive player when it isn't. and he can actually take his first step and launch to draw a foul when the rhythm of the play, the defender's thinking, okay, I'm going to get lined up to defend this on the second step. And all of a sudden there's a bump or there's a hit or there's an arrhythmic cadence by the defender that all of a sudden causes him to foul. So in every one of these processes, there's a foul that can be lured depending on how you do it. And I think a guy like Harden will introduce that again as well, because people are going to be looking for this extra step, the so-called extra step, and he's going to be already in a launch.
For sure.
And he's going to catch people from defending him.
For sure. We see the on the one, how I term it, often now. And it's actually exciting because as we're teaching these things, we're now actually having a focus on the pickup, the timing of the pickup, and the timing of the one or the two, and then how you can stretch that or minimize those steps. It's almost endless what you can do and how you can mix all those things in real time in an organic way. I just feel bad for the defense and the referees too.